So I think the next thing that would make sense to talk about is just really the spirituality and okay, we talked about the history and we talked about, the spread of it throughout the world and how it reached all the areas. But what really is the Rosary? The Rosary really is a reflection on the life of Christ, right? It is not this pagan devotion to worshiping Mary. It is a reflection on Scripture. The Rosary, people will say, is Scripture on a chain, So, Father, would you explain a little bit on really how the Rosary does tie into Scripture and what I guess we can get into the practical of praying it later on, but
sure,
really the concept of what you do with a bead and why there's a reflection and decades and things like that, and what the mysteries are.
And even with the details of praying the Rosary, we'll put a link in the comment section for you to use that as well. But there's fantastic resources out there that tie the 15 or 20 mysteries of the Rosary. So the first 15 are the ones that we've been talking a lot about. And we referenced St. John Paul II and his inclusion of the luminous mysteries. But the first 15, joyful, and then the sorrowful and the glorious mysteries, all center around meditating on the history of salvation from the moment of the Annunciation, when Gabriel announced to Mary, and then all the way up to the coronation of Mary, where she is crowned Queen of heaven and earth.
Which people will say is not biblical, but
when you look at the book of Revelations, it's right there.
Exactly.
So in the tradition of the Catholic faith, which precedes the contrary voices of also the 16th century, which is also very interesting, but I won't go on a tangent with that. To consider that meditating on the life of Christ and using the Rosary to its fullest capacity, you should have scriptural contact with all of the occasions of what you're meditating on. So in respect to the Rosary itself, it's set up with 5 sets of decades. And what is a decade? From the Latin root meaning 10, you have 1 Our Father and 10 Hail Marys. And during that decade, you would meditate on the first mystery that you're praying. So say you're beginning with the joyful mysteries, you would focus on the Annunciation, okay? Then you move to the Visitation. Then you move to the birth of Christ. Then you move to the presentation in the temple. Then you move to the finding of Jesus in the temple, right?
Those are joyful things.
All joyful things. And then from there, you conclude your joyful mysteries and you can move very easily if you wanted to pray successive rosaries. I have a rosary that actually has 20 mysteries on it that I picked up from Medjugorje a long time ago, where you could sit there and pray for an hour with Our Lady and meditate on the entirety of the mystery of salvation in the person of Jesus Christ, including the luminous mysteries.